Hello, welcome to a weekly recap. Today is Friday the 27th of February. Apologies, I haven't updated throughout this week. It's been a bit of a hectic week off the charts, and to say the least, it's been a bit of a hectic week on the charts, not in a good way. A bit to unfold here, so let's get straight into it. We know that I took a swing position on Monday for DXY sales. It was on a Monday, it was early in the week to take a swing position, and I made an error on my part with my stop loss placement. Now, obviously hindsight's a wonderful thing, but I know better to have stops at full invalidation upon setting up for a swing, especially being a Monday. To call low of the week early in a Monday session is a bold move. So I've learned from that lesson in itself. So if I just uncover exactly what I mean when I say that, we briefly talked about I was going to go on the weekly chart to show you what I mean. We briefly talked about this sweep here on the weekly being sweep. If we wanted sells, then we knew the sweep would be a protected high, right? So when we come into it, this is an internal daily sweep. This was the weekly sweep that I just marked. Leave that there so we can see. So this area here is what I would like to call the protected high, where if the bias is correct, price won't trade above. Okay, and what that correlates on euro is this low here. Was made last week, Thursday, Friday last week. This was the sweep, and I'm just going to mark it so we know what we're talking about. We're all on the same page here and here. Sweep. Okay, so on the 4 hour, what I took, and I'll just go back to DXY and show you. Obviously, Sunday night opened up, strong displacement to the downside. Okay, nice. We wanted a retracement, we got it. Retracement up. When this candle ended up finishing like such, I was happy to call this area high of the week. Okay, so I'm just going to note this down. High of the week. So what that looked like on euro was, I'm just going to get rid of this draw target here. What that looked like was this candle here being low of the week. Okay, so it looks something like taking a swing position like such, targeting the pivot swing high, something like that. Okay, stops were just below low of the week. So as you can see, Tuesday come along, ended up stopping me out. The annoying thing was about this stop loss placement. I'm slightly annoyed at myself for doing it. I done it for a reason, but I should know better. But it is what it is. We won't dwell on the fact that I done it. Stops should have been obviously somewhere near this low here, because this is the protected low. Okay. Yes, that reduces the overall target. Yes, we could have aimed for higher prices, of course, but this was what happened. So I took a loss come Tuesday morning. It was actually late. I was asleep at the time of getting stopped out, but it was through Asia session Monday night coming into Tuesday. As you can see, stopped out. Okay, so going on to DXY. After I got stopped out and I see bullish pressure and I start evaluating, I see daily FEGs being respected. I kind of think, well, actually, this could be DXY long. Obviously, I've wanted shorts. This high might not stand. Daily FEGs being respected. We've had pretty good displacement off of the initial candle that I was entering off. Maybe my bias is incorrect. Maybe it is longs. So then, I don't have an immediate bias switch, but I do switch my bias for DXY longs, because in my eyes, at the time, I have been invalidated from my DXY sell position. So I then decide to take a euro sell, and I take a euro sell somewhere Tuesday. I think it would have been maybe it was on the hourly chart on Tuesday, and it might have been around London session where I called a high of the day play. We had respective creating lower lows, lower highs, etc., and it was something along the lines of stops just above and obviously targeting the swing low. Again, simple trade, good displacement, da-di-da-di-da, all is well. And as you can see, got stopped out on that position. At this point, taking 2 losses early on in the week, Monday, Tuesday, back to back, on a short, on a long, and I asked myself, what am I doing wrong here? So, in comes Wednesday, and Wednesday I start re-evaluating. I don't want to jump the gun again. I start re-evaluating and thinking, right, let me actually look what's happening. So, we have an order block which is usually last protocol of an area that's going to be respected. We had FVGs that got disrespected on the way up, etc, etc. What else is left? Cool. A 4-hour order block, because this was the last bullish candle before the sweep that created this bearish pressure. Cool. Mark out the order block. I can see we get a tap in hit first and obviously displace out. This reverts back to the data I've collected and what I know in normal market conditions have good follow through, shall we say. So, tap into the POI being the order block. This is the tap. We then get a fake out of, let's call it respected. So people are getting in shorts, putting their stop losses here. I'm one of those person. Then what happens is we then get a sweep of the tap. So we get tap into the POI, we get what I like to call a fake out, where it entices people into either buys or sells, and then we get a retracement followed by a sweep. Okay, then I re-enter shorts on DXY because I'm looking at this, and then it looks like a long on euro where it could possibly be on Wednesday at some point, and I obviously didn't get the greatest entries, and it was on the 1 hour because at this point I'm trying to personally aim for lower areas. So I'm like, okay, well, let me just catch the move to this high here. So it's something like that, and obviously I reduce my stop loss. Then I get stopped out because I'm cutting my positions short to try and better the risk to reward, which in turn is not the right thing to do. Stop should be at invalidation, and then I get stopped out again. So this is now 3 back-to-back losses. I do then take one more position on a DXY buy. So after it was on Thursday, so after obviously this move here, we get a respect of this area here, and then it was around Thursday lunchtime, you see a strong push to the upside, and it's something like this again, and I'm targeting, it's probably a bit of a bigger, might have been, I don't know, stops were definitely there because I got stopped out again, but I think it was on this candle here where it was a case of, right, DXY is definitely long, we're now going to break out the high, and again I was only actually targeting this high here, so it must have been something like this. It was around a 192R trade. Stops below that pivot area, surely going to be respected. As you can see, stopped out. 4 losses in a week. Really disappointed in how I traded this week, and I make these videos for full transparency. I'm not here to come on here and say I've taken a massive win this week. That's not what I'm here to do. This is purely for my own data, my own self, for holding accountability. This week definitely wasn't good enough. And what's annoying is, okay, when you look at it now on a daily time frame, you know, similar to the week before last, where we had chop and the same thing happened, you know, I've got to understand market conditions. When the market is not moving in a higher time frame point of view, then the ranges aren't going to be there for me. Therefore, one, it should be probably smaller trades in terms of intraday sessions where I'm targeting session highs, session lows, rather than major draws on liquidity. Alternatively, after losing on Monday and then switching biases and then losing straight away on Tuesday, I should, and I know better, to take a step back, relax, breathe, and completely remove myself from the space of trading where I'm almost trying to force something. And again, it's all about accountability. I hold myself fully accountable for the mistakes I've made this week on the charts. I know I'm better than that, but this is all part of the learning process that one does unfortunately have to go through, and it's a rubbish situation, but it is part of trading. And a lot of people, including myself, went through a horrid week this week. And this is what the markets do to you. The markets really do chew you up and spit you out when times do really get tough like such. And it's quite easy, and quite a lot of people would be thinking along the lines of, I really cannot do this. The markets are really against me. You know, if I'm taking a short and I lose, and then I take a long and I lose, and then I take a short and then I lose again, I'm self-doubting. Do I really know what I'm doing? Are the markets really out to just get me? Because every time it seemed to stop me out, it would then go in my direction, and it's like mentally draining and exhausting, and really, really tough to turn up every day to do the same thing when you're just constantly getting shafted. So, as for this week, admittedly, bad trading week, bad market conditions, but that's not me blaming the market for my bad trading. That's just me holding my accountable self to say, understanding bad market conditions and removing myself from. The Monday loss, totally valid in a sense of I took the shot, I follow my plan. The Tuesday loss, the setup was there and I'm not disappointed in that. But the 2 to 3 losses after that, Wednesday, Thursday, I didn't take any trades today, but I think I took 2 on Thursday, so it was easily avoidable. And that's what I get myself disappointed from. I know I should be better than that, but like I said, it is a learning curve. This is what helps us as traders, myself and other people, really bite down, grit teeth and push through to come through the other side, because I know better weeks are coming. I just need to stay locked in, stay consistent with how I trade, in a sense of taking the proper setups with stops at proper invalidation and really understanding market conditions. So that is it from me. I hope, if anything, somebody was able to take something from this. You know, whether it's from a psychological aspect or even a trading aspect, cool. If you didn't, and you just are here for the laugh at me for losing, great. Whatever you want to do, that's up to you. But as always, like I said, full transparency. I'm here to show my losses, I'm here to show my wins, I'm here to show break-even trades, and most importantly, I'm here to just be a trader to you where on a personal level where we can communicate and obviously go through what I know a lot of traders go through at the same time. So if you found it useful, if you like the content, drop a like, drop a follow, subscribe, whatever you need to do. As always, we'll be back on Sunday for a new weekly outlook ready for next week. Hopefully next week will be a little bit better, but lessons learned this week, things to take on board, and really have a reset of a weekend, rest up, don't overthink about this week's price action, about this week's mistakes. Yes, we need to reflect, but we don't need to beat ourselves up about it. We just need to keep going, stay consistent, show up every day, and just carry on as we do. That's it for now. Catch you on the next one. Peace.